It was a close one with Chicago coming out on top. Last-second field goal by Cairo Santos to give Chicago a 16-14 victory in Motown. Chicago wins, but Detroit covers. Had been sitting at about 3 for most of the week, closes at 2.5, and the under also cashes for bettors at 41.5. Andy Dalton in for the injured Justin Fields, 317 yards on the day, including a touchdown. On the flip side, Jared Goff, efficient, 171 with a couple of scores, but Detroit was 0-4-1 in one-score games coming into this Thursday. It was tied for second most in the NFL. They're now 0-5-1. However, they're 7-4 against the spread, better than a 60% clip. All right, let's bring in our analyst, two-time Super Bowl champ Brian McFadden. And B-Mac, generally we always start with the team that wins the game, but this time around it's the Lions. They were so close and had a chance to get it done. What did you think about the end of the game and the result that we saw?
Well, that has been the storyline for the Detroit Lions the entire season. I mean, just like listening to Tony Braxton, it's another sad love song. Their entire season has been a love song. They get so close, but they find a way to lose the ball game, Tommy. That has been the storyline for this ball club, and I'm not surprised to see them lose another nail biter. And that's why the fans right now are so, discombobulated when it comes to emotional stress coming from watching the Detroit Lions play. But Chicago, they took care of their business. Chicago's not a good team. They're not a good team. But the thing about Detroit, they're a worse team. I mean, they had, double-digit penalties again today. And when you're a team that's trying to get your first win of the season, you have to be smarter with the football, offensively and defensively. You got to play clean football. They had 10 penalties for 67 yards, and we saw how the end of the game, played out for the Detroit Lions. I mean, they had to utilize their timeouts because they had some issues on the defensive side. And because of that, Andy Dalton and the Chicago Bears offense was able to basically seal the deal, taking all the time off the clock to go with a huge game-winning field goal.
Can we get to that part, the exchange there, the final drive before the eventual game-winning kick? There were back-to-back timeouts by Detroit that resulted in a 5-yard penalty, almost a third from Dan Campbell, but again got bailed out by Chicago and Matt Nagy. Can you take me through what type of confusion is there? Because it seemed like Detroit didn't really have a game plan.
They didn't have a game plan, but you know exactly what you're going against and you know what you're battling when you look at the clock as well. So situational football is something that every team practices. Usually teams devote either Thursday or Friday practice just to situational moments in a ball game, 2-minute situations, in the ball game situations, end of half situations, and they just weren't prepared. They weren't prepared, but are we really surprised, Tommy, right? This is a team that's winless so far this season, and they're not winless because they're just bad personnel-wise. They're winless because situational moments of the ball game, they dropped the ball, and they dropped the ball in that moment, timeout after timeout, and then got hit with a 5-yard penalty. Those are things you cannot do, and they have to find a way to clean those elements of their ball game up, because if they don't, it's already a long, long year. But we still have another full month of football left to be played when you talk about December. It will be longer for the Detroit Lions if they don't play smarter, sound football.
All right, we'll tackle a few more things from Detroit coming up before a 4:30 Eastern game on CBS there with the Raiders and Cowboys. Let's get the winners their credit and give them their due. No Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, more than 300 yards passing, and B-Mac, they get it done.
They get it done. They had to get this done. When you're playing against a team that we all consider to be the worst team in the National Football League, you cannot afford to lose to them, especially if this is a divisional game. Right, so for Detroit, yes, let's keep it real. Detroit, they're not a good team, but their hopes are still there. They're still breathing. There's still life in the body, being able to win today and hopefully eventually get their starting quarterback and Justin Fields in the lineup sooner than later, because the offense seems to flow a little better when he's in the lineup because he provides another element, which is the athletic side of things, running the football, making things happen with his legs. They really run the ball better when he's in the lineup because he's another runner. He's another option in the backfield. Andy Dalton does not provide that, but Andy Dalton made some plays today. Mooney made some plays in the passing game. I think most importantly for this team, Chicago-wise, you got to get healthy. Get your quarterback back, get Allen Robinson back, get some guys back on the defensive side as well, and just continue to chop wood. But they had to win this. This was a must-win for Chicago. I'm going to keep it real with you. I know every week is like a must-win, but every week you're not playing against a team that is winless in the National Football League in the month of November. So they took care of their business against a winless team. They took care of their business against a divisional foe, and now they live to fight another day.
Yeah, they certainly do. And you mentioned they played the worst team in football, but it seemed like the most media attention came on Chicago. Talks about Matt Nagy and the report, of course, about his demise. Chance to fire Nagy at home last Sunday. Short week for them. Take me through the locker room experience of being on a team with all that outside noise, trying to get it done here on a holiday.
Well, let's keep it real. They hear the elevator music that's being played outside of their facility. They hear it. The coaches hear it. And they just got to try to keep that away from what they're doing on and off the football field and just win ball games. This was a huge opportunity for Chicago on a national stage to get right back in the positive things when it comes to the winning column. And they were able to do that. But I feel like Coach Nagy, I'm not saying this a week by week basis for him, but it kind of is, right? Not knowing exactly what they will do at the head coaching position next year, he has to continue to develop and earn confidence from the organization, from the fan base, that he deserves to be on the sideline for the Chicago Bears next season. I think if you were to ask the consensus, will he? The consensus probably would say no, but he could change. He could right his wrongs based on what they have going the rest of the way. I mean, next week they got the Cardinals, then they got the Packers, they got the Vikings, they got the Seahawks. The next 4 games is a very, very difficult stretch for the Chicago Bears. It's a difficult stretch for Matt Nagy, and he will be coaching for his life, in my opinion, week by week.
I said we'd get back to Detroit. We got one more thing before we wrap up this hour of CBS Sports HQ for Detroit. They do not get the win that they've been seeking. They do get a couple extra days before essentially a mini-bye, BMAC. But what's it going to be like on this team that became so close before? Baltimore, Pittsburgh, now Chicago. The schedule ahead, of course, not easy with, I think, Minnesota coming up. What do you do if you're a Detroit Lion in that locker room right now?
Well, let's go process by elimination, right? You got Minnesota coming up. You got the Broncos. You got the Cardinals. You got the Falcons. You got the Seahawks. You got the Packers. Where do you see a potential win for Dan Campbell and the Fighting Lions? Is it safe to say the Fighting Lions? Can I just throw that in there as a nickname? Not really, but I'm just throwing it in there. Maybe Atlanta. You travel to Atlanta the day after Christmas. Maybe that's the best opportunity to win a ball game. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. We know this, right? We understand that. But based on what we know, Minnesota's starting to really find their stride. Traveling to Denver could be a very, very difficult task. At home against the Cardinals, healthy Kyler Murray, probably no shot. Travel to Atlanta, the game I mentioned. You travel to Seattle, and you at a home stand last game of the season against the Green Bay Packers. Maybe one ball game that they could have a legit shot in winning, and that's the Atlanta Falcons.
All right.
Outside of that, it's going to be a long year. It's already a long year.
Do not go anywhere. More NFL coverage coming up right now. But again, for the Chicago Bears, snapping a 5-game losing streak, beating the division rivals there, the Detroit Lions in Motown today.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.